There it is, live on YouTube. Look at that.
Okay. Hi, anybody who might be listening. I'm Austin Pendleton. I've had two experiences with this play over the years, two major experiences. It requires a little bit of anecdote. By a fluke, I got cast in the first New York revival of The Little Foxes. Little Foxes was first produced with Tallulah Bankhead in 1939. And then, of course, it was made into the famous movie, Betty Davis. And then, but it had never been done in New York again until 1967, where it was directed by the good friend of Lillian Hellman's, Mike Nichols. And Mike began to assemble, as he was wont to do, an all-star cast. He had Anne Bancroft and George C. Scott and Margaret Leighton and E.G. Just some of you listening, probably none of those names mean anything, but at the time they were huge, appropriately huge. And then at the same time, just in the months leading up to when it went into rehearsal, Mike was directing The Graduate and making a star out of Dustin Hoffman in the process. Oh, God, this thing. So he offered the part of Leo to Dustin Hoffman. Oh, God. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a thing that happens with, oh, come on. Wait, okay. There's this thing the computer keeps doing that is very irritating to some and okay. So Mike Nichols was directing Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate that summer, and everybody knew this was going to make Dustin Hoffman, who was a very well-regarded off-Broadway actor, very well-regarded off-Broadway actor. This was going to make Dustin a star. So Mike offered Dustin Hoffman the role of Leo in The Little Foxes that fall, which would begin rehearsals soon after The Graduate stopped filming. And Dustin kept dragging his feet. I don't quite know why. And Mike said, look, the play's only going to run for 8 months at Lincoln Center. And by the time and The Graduate won't open till after it's closed. So you're fine. And he just kept dragging his feet. And one day, the enhancing producer, who was a Broadway producer, called Mike and said, has Dustin made up his mind yet? And Mike said, no. And you know what? I think I'm going to move on. And then if Dustin happens to come in and say, I think I'll do it, I can say, no, I had to move on. I've waited for several weeks now. And Mike really wanted to be able to say that to Dustin. So the producer said, the New York producer speaking to Mike by phone from New York to Los Angeles, it was in those days, said, well, who do you want? And Mike said, find me another eccentric young New York character actor. My picture was in the paper that day. I'd won an award for a play that had opened and closed on Broadway in a week, about 8 months before, and it was totally forgotten, but my picture was in the paper because of this award. That particular day, the producer's eye fell on that, and he said to Mike, Austin Pendleton, and Mike said, hire him. And I was a little surprised by this when I got the offer, because Leo, it's an unusual part for me. And but I thought, well, I'm not going to. So we went into rehearsal that fall. And the second day of rehearsal, just before lunch, at the lunch break, Mike called me over to him. We were sitting on the table reading it. I had just reading through the play. And Mike said, you know, you're totally miscast for this. Something told me not to say, well, then why did you cast me? I said, oh, yeah, or something like that. He said, well, no, we'll work on it. It'll be an adventure. Well, we worked on it and worked on it. And I went into some mode of total denial and basically didn't do anything by way of character work. Finally, we had about 3 weeks later, we had our first run through on the stage of the Vivian Beaumont, like you said. And Mike gave 2 hours of notes to all of these brilliant actors and not one single note to me. And I thought, oh. So like an idiot, I walked up to him and I said, so Mike, I guess you were pleased with what I did today because you didn't give me any notes. And Mike said, how can I give you notes on a performance that was wrong from beginning to end? Now we have talked about this. We have talked that this casting was offbeat. We were going to work on it. I've given you ideas. This is all true. I've given you ideas every day. You've just kept doing the same thing. I don't know what to do anymore. And then, so we were rehearsing on stage. So I went off the stage into the dressing room area, and there was Anne Bancroft. Some of you have heard this story before. There was Anne Bancroft, and she said, well, you don't look good. What's the matter? And I said, well, I told her what Mike had said. She said, oh, Mike. So I went home that night, and I went out with friends that night, and I got roaring drunk because I was sure I was going to be called in the next morning to a little meeting saying, look, Mike would say, it's my fault. The casting was eccentric. No hard feelings, but I think we have to move to someone else. So I was positive of that. And, oh, I thought this, you wanted me to say some comments, but I thought we were already talking to the audience. Hello?
No, you're doing just fine. Some people were asking to join the Zoom who aren't part of the cast. No, you were doing just wonderful.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the whole point of this rambling story.
Keep going. Keep going. You're doing great.
Okay. And so, so I got really drunk that night, certain I was going to be fired. With many apologies, but fired. Next morning I came in, of course, hungover, and Anne Bancroft said, come into my dressing room. And I said, what? She said, I figured out what he doesn't like. I said, what? The way you walk is wrong. You're not walking from the center of gravity of the character. Leo is stupid. Austin people have always told you that you were smart. So when you walk across the stage, you lead with your head. People always lead with a part of their body that they feel more confident about. The only thing, she said, Leo is proud of is the affair he's having with the woman in Mobile, as she's called. And Leo is so stupid, he doesn't even realize that she's a prostitute. But that's the one thing Leo's proud of. So you gotta lead with your crotch. Now, I'll walk back and forth here, and the dressing rooms in the Beaumont are rather small. She said, Anne Bancroft said, I'll walk back and forth, and I'll show you how you walk. And she led with her head. And she said, now show me how Leo would walk. And I just thought, well, I got nothing. And I led with my crotch. It felt stupid, but I did. She said, okay, now when he calls you out to rehearse today, don't think of anything else but leading with your crotch. So I went out there and I began leading with my crotch. And Mike said, that's it. I don't know. He couldn't tell what the difference was, but he said, you got it. I'm so glad we had our talk last night. And Anne Bancroft had said to me, I don't read a word that I talked to you about this. I'm in bad enough trouble with him as it is. So then we opened and we got ecstatically mixed reviews. I mean, some reviews, Walter Kerr said, this is the beginning of the American National Theater, and went on with a brilliant description of the play and the production. And Jack Kroll in Newsweek said that this is the end of the American theater as we know it. And this is just pathetic and ridiculous and just a bunch of star turns out there. And he picked us off one by one in the company. And so it got very mixed reviews, indeed a very mixed response, but it was generally regarded as a brilliant production. And then And then we moved it to Broadway for a limited run, and then we took it on a tour and all of that. And then 14 years later, I was asked to direct it on Broadway, starring Elizabeth Taylor in literally her stage debut. I mean, she never acted in school or summer camp, or because she'd been a child star. And she was playing Regina, of course, and again, a splendid cast was assembled around her. And Lillian Hellman, she kept saying to me, well, your production is terrible, but it's not as bad as Mike's. Mike directed, Mike, her best friend. And I said, well, wait. I said, she said, you like Mike's production? I said, and she had me watching the movie a lot. She loved the movie, the old movie of it, the Bette Davis. And I said, well, yeah, I like the movie, but frankly, I don't like it as well as Mike's production. I was in Mike's production, I know, but I had a supporting role, so I had a sense of it. I don't like the movie as much as I like Mike's production. And Lillian said, if you had said this to me in our interview, I never would have hired you. So then with the production Elizabeth was in, again, we got violently mixed review. Walter Kerr hated that production as much as he had loved the Walter Kerr production. And and then other critics thought it was great, like Frank Rich. And it was, Addie, the maid in the Mike Nichols production, was played by Bea Richards. I don't know how many of you know who that was, but at the time she was a major actress. And she had been in the James Baldwin play, The Amen Corner, and Coward in it. And she, the year we did Little Foxes, she got nominated for an Oscar for Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And she'd done some other movies. She was she agreed to take the part of Addie. And at the very first rehearsal, I saw that she was there, and I thought, I didn't know she was in it. And I thought, oh, this is strange. But then she wanted to carve out, find, locate the sensibility of a woman of Bea Richards' intelligence, and in fact, activist spirit, whose circumstances had her working for a greedy family. And there are 2 or 3 members of that family who are sympathetic, and she was very close to Addie was very close to them. The Hubbards, the main Hubbards, the sister, Regina, and the 2 brothers, Ben and Oscar, well, particularly Regina and Oscar, cheerfully use the word nigger. I mean, they're not even hostile with it. They just cheerfully use it. And therefore I propose that we do that tonight. Not, however, Cal, not him. But the others, I do propose, it just gives a flavor of just how careless the greedy Hubbards were. And it's very specifically written into the play. And anything less demeaning than that would somehow lose a sense of who they are. So at my request, and I know it's now, I was in a play last year, Choir Boy on Broadway, where the use of that word became within the play, a subject of controversy within the play itself, in the dialogue between the characters. And in Choir Boy played a man who had marched years ago with Martin Luther King and was now teaching at an all African American school. And the guys were freely calling each other that, the students. And at one point I just exploded at them. I said, I work with friends who who died over protesting the use of that word, and so forth. So so Terrell McCraney in that play used that word very specifically, and Lillian Hellman in 1939 when she wrote this play used it. Lillian was, as I'm sure most of you know, of all the major American playwrights, Lillian Hellman was the most politically radical. It was she who told off the House Un-American Activities Committee. Said, I'm not going to cut my behavior to fit this year's fashions. And she would not name any names. And so she was her life had radical fortitude from beginning to end. So when she has Regina and Oscar in particular, I think that Ben is a little bit more sophisticated than that, although I may have forgotten something. It's just the casualness of it is Lillian's point. So I know the climate right now is very excitingly against even saying that word, but within the world of this play and the point this play is making about America in 1900, particularly in the South, I think that it would be part of the texture of the play, although certainly Cal does not need to use that word. So is that okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, actually. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I don't use that word when Addie
Yeah.
said it? 'Cause
Oh, no. You don't have to use that word.
Yeah.
Neither Addie nor Cal need to use that word, even though they use it ironically, but still, no.
Yeah, I want to say that was a great summation. I agree completely, because the word, I'm Cal, and that's a hard word to say, and it's just,
Don't say it, and don't say it, Felice. Don't say it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I would ask if Regina and Oscar would, and I think even Bertie uses it once. And again, and Bertie's a sweet-natured woman, and
Right.
it's like, but she's so yearning for those old days of the plantation that she just uses it. And I think that's ironic on Lillian's part. Even such a good-natured soul as Bertie doesn't even think about it. And Addie takes it. Addie is very sympathetic to Bertie. And it's very specific playwriting. Okay?
Yep, absolutely. I agree. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's
Thank
all
you.
I have to say about
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Austin.
you.
history with a little fun. Okay,
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
Thanks,
here.
Austin.
And thank you, everybody who's watching. Welcome to Quarantine Theater. We are reading Lillian Hellman's masterpiece, The Little Foxes, and we have an incredible cast here today. We have Austin Pendleton, Morgana Shaw, Tom Smith, Liam Mitchell, Barbara Blair, Tammy Faye, Starlight, Ian Christensen, Felice Rosser, and Julian Maley. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get started. The scene is a living room of the Giddens home in a small town in the deep south, the spring of 1900. Upstage is a staircase leading to the second story. Upstage right are double doors in the dining room. When these doors are open, we see a section of the dining room and the furniture. Upstage, an entrance ball with a coat rack and umbrella stand. There are large lace curtained windows on the left wall. The room is lit by a center gas chandelier and painted china oil lamps on the tables. Against the wall, a large piano. Near the window, a small couch and tables. The room is good looking, the furniture expensive, but it reflects no particular taste. Everything is of the best, and that is all. At rise is Addie. A tall, nice-looking woman of about 55 is closing the windows. From behind the closed doors, there is the sound of voices. After a second, Cal, a middle-aged man, comes in from the entrance hall carrying a tray with glasses and a bottle of port. Addie crosses, takes the tray from him, puts it on the table, and begins to arrange it.
You gonna start raving mad?
No, smart lady, I ain't. Miss Regina told me to get out that bottle. That very bottle for the mighty honored guest. When Miss Regina changes orders like that, you can bet your dime she got her reason.
Go on, you'll be needed.
Miss Zan had 2 helpings frozen fruit cream, and she'd tell that honored guest, she'd tell him, you make the best frozen cream in all the South.
Did she? Well, see that Belle saves a little for her. She likes it right before she goes to bed. Save a few little cakes too. She likes.
The dining room doors open. Bertie Hubbard enters. Bertie is a woman of about 40 with a pretty, well-bred, faded face. Her movements are usually nervous and timid, but now, as she comes running into the room, she is gay and excited. Cal.
Oh, no. I want you to get one of the kitchen boys to run home for me. Just to look at my desk drawer. My, Addie, what a good supper. Just as good as can be.
You look pretty this evening, Miss Birdie, and young.
Me young? Maybe you better find Simon and tell him to do it himself. He's to look in my desk, the left drawer, and bring my music album right away. Mr. Marshall is very anxious to see it because of his father and the opera in Chicago. Mr. Marshall is such a polite man with his manners and very educated and cultured. And I've told him all about how my mama and papa used to go to Europe for the music. Imagine going all the way to Europe just to listen to music. Wouldn't that be nice, Addie? Oh, just to sit there and listen. Left drawer count. Tell him that twice because he forgets. And tell him not to let any of the things drop out of the album and to bring it right in here when he comes back.
Simon, he won't get it right, but I'll tell him.
Left drawer count, and tell him to bring the blue book out. Oh, Oscar, I was just sending Simon for my music album.
Yeah, never mind about the album. Miss Birdie has changed her mind.
But really, Oscar,
Why do you leave?
I was sending Simon. Really, Oscar, I promised Mr. Marshall that
You leave the dinner table and go running around like a child.
But Oscar, Mr. Marshall said most especially he wanted to see my album. I told him about the time Mama met Wagner, and Mrs. Wagner gave her the signed poster and the big picture. Well, Mr. Marshall wants to see that very, very much. We had such a nice talk, and he is
Him like a magpie. Now, you haven't let him be for a second. I can't think he came south just to be bored by you.
He wasn't bored. I don't believe he was bored. He's a very educated, cultured gentleman. I just don't believe it. You always talk like that when I'm having a nice time.
You had too much wine. Get yourself in hand now.
What am I doing? I'm not doing anything. What am I doing?
I said, get yourself in hand. Stop acting like a fool.
I don't believe he was bored. I just don't believe it. Some people like music and like to talk about it. That's all I was doing.
Enter Leo Hubbard. He is a man of 20 with a weak kind of good looks.
Mama, Papa, they're coming in now.
Sit down, Birdie. Sit down now.
The dining room. Go ahead.
I
Rich.
lost the script. Just it jumped ahead many pages. I tapped something and it jumped ahead to the end of the play. So what's the page number?
74.
Yeah,
This
17.
happens with these scripts that are printed like that. It just, you look at it funny and it jumps. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Wait.
Page 174, Austin.
Page what?
174.
174?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will you read the stage directions for that, Jack?
Oh my God, this is hopeless. I can't find, oh, here, okay. 174.
Yes, the dining room doors are opened by Cal. We see people beginning to rise from the table. Regina Giddens comes in with William Marshall. Regina is a handsome woman of 40. Marshall is 45, pleasant looking, self-possessed. Behind them comes Alexandra Giddens, a pretty, rather delicate looking girl of 17, followed by Benjamin Hubbard, 55, with a large jovial face and the light, graceful movements that one often finds in large men.
Mr. Marshall, I think you're trying to console me. Chicago may be the noisiest, dirtiest city in the world, but I should still prefer it to the sound of our horses and the smell of our azaleas. I should like crowds of people in theaters and lovely women. Very lovely women, Mr. Marshall. Mr. Marshall.
Who's playing Mr. Marshall?
That is
Who is playing Mr. Marshall?
Do go on, Mr. Marshall.
Yes. By all means.
not at all. We settled everything this afternoon. No.
Wait,
It's in
Where-
Chicago. Do we not have a Mr. Marshall?
We had one.
Got one now, Jack.
In Chicago? Oh, I suppose so. But I can tell you this, I dined there with 3 such lovely ladies.
our Southern women are well favored.
But one must go to Mobile for the ladies, sir. Very elegant, worldly ladies, too.
Worldly, huh? Worldly, did you say?
Your Uncle Ben means that worldliness is not the mark of a beauty in any woman.
Oh, of course, Uncle Ben. I didn't mean that.
Your port is excellent, Mrs. Giddens.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. We have been saving that bottle, hoping we could open it just for you.
Oh, may I really? Really, Addie?
Better ask Mama.
May I, Mama?
In Mr. Marshall's honor.
Mr. Marshall, this will be the first taste of port I've ever had.
No one ever had their first taste of a better port. Well, I suppose it is all true, Mrs. Giddens,
What is true?
that you Southerners occupy a unique position in America. You live better than the rest of us. You eat better, you drink better. I wonder you found time. What to find time to do business?
Great many Southerners don't.
Do all of you live here together?
Here with me? Oh, no. My brother Ben lives next door. My brother Oscar and his family live in the next square.
But we are a very close family. We've always wanted it that way.
That is very pleasant, keeping your family together to share each other's feelings. My family moves around too much. My children seem never to come home, away at school in the winter. In the summer, Europe with their mother.
Oh, yes. Even down here, we read about Mrs. Marshall in the society pages.
I dare say. She moves about a great deal, and all of you are part of the same business. Hubbard Sons?
Oscar and me. My sister's good husband is a banker.
Oh,
I'm so sorry my husband isn't here to meet you. He's been very ill. He's at Johns Hopkins, but he will be home soon. We think he's getting better now.
I work for Uncle Horace. I mean, I work for Uncle Horace at his bank. I keep an eye on things while he's away.
Really, Leo?
Modesty in the young is as excellent as it is rare.
Your uncle means that a young man should speak more modestly.
Oh, I didn't mean, sir.
oh, Mrs. Hubbard, where's that Wagner autograph you promised to let me see? My train will be leaving soon, and
Autograph. Oh, well, really, Mr. Marshall, I didn't mean to chatter on so about it. Really,
Yeah.
You must excuse me. I didn't get it because, well, I had a little headache and you know,
I got cut off.
what?
I got cut off. Just hold it. I don't know why. Okay, I'm back. But I got cut off altogether.
I had a little headache. And
My wife is a miserable victim of headaches.
Mr. Marshall said at supper that he would like you to play for him, Alexandra.
It's not I who play well, sir. It's my aunt. She plays just wonderfully. She's my teacher. May we play a duet, may we, mother?
thank you, dear. But I have my headache now.
Don't be so stubborn, Bertie. Mr. Marshall wants you to play.
Indeed, I do, if your headache isn't.
But I'd like to, sir. Very much.
It's very remarkable how you Southern aristocrats have kept together and kept what belonged to you.
You misunderstand, sir. Southern aristocrats have not kept together and have not kept what belonged to them.
You don't call this keeping what belongs to you?
But we are not aristocrats. Our brother's wife is the only one of us who belongs to the Southern aristocracy.
My information is that you people have been here and solidly here for a long time.
And so we have since our great-grandfather.
Who was not an aristocrat like Bertie's.
You make great distinctions.
Oh, they have been made for us, and maybe they are important distinctions. Now, you take Bertie's family. When my great-grandfather came here, they were the highest stone plantation owners in this state.
My mother's grandfather was governor of the state before the war.
They owned the plantation Lionette. You may have heard of it, sir.
No, I've never heard of anything but brick houses on a lake and cotton mills.
Lionette, in its day, was the best cotton land in the South. It still brings us in a fair crop. They were great days for those people. Even when I can remember, they had the best of everything. Cloth from Paris, trips to Europe, horses you can't raise anymore, niggers to lift their fingers.
We were good to our people. Everybody knew that. We were better to them than
But Bertie, you aren't playing.
But when the war comes, these fine gentlemen ride off and leave the cotton and the women to rot.
My father was killed in the war. He was a fine soldier, Mr. Marshall, a fine man.
Oh, certainly, Bertie, a famous soldier.
But that isn't the way that is not the tale that I'm telling Mr. Marshall. Well, sir, the war ends, Lionette is almost ruined, and the sons finish ruining it. And there were thousands like them. Why? Because the Southern aristocrat can adapt himself to nothing, too high tone to try.
Sometimes it is difficult to learn new ways.
Perhaps. They're playing the piano. You're right, Mr. Marshall. It is difficult to learn new ways, but maybe that's why it's profitable. Our grandfather and our father learned the new ways and learned how to make them pay. They were in trade. Hubbard's sons, merchandise, others, Bertie's family, for example, looked down on them. To make a long story short, Lionette now belongs to us. 20 years ago, we took over their land, their cotton, their daughter.
May I bring you
No, thank you, sir.
Oh, you are boring Mr. Marshall with these ancient family tales.
I hope not. I'm trying to make an important point for our future business partner.
My brother always said, was struggled and fought to bring to our land some of the prosperities of your land.
Some people call that patriotism.
I hope you don't find my brothers too obvious, Mr. Marshall. I'm afraid they mean that this is the time for the ladies to leave the gentlemen to talk business.
Not at all. We settled everything this afternoon. I have only a few minutes before I must leave for the train, and I insist they be spent with you.
And with another glass of port.
Thank you.
My sister's right. I'm a plain man and I try to say a plain thing. A man ain't only in business for what he can get out of it. It's got to give him something here. That's every bit as true for the nigger picking cotton for silver quarter as it is for you and me. If it don't give him something here, then he don't pick the cotton right. Money isn't all, not by 3 shots.
Really? Well, I always thought it was a great deal.
And so did I, Mr. Marshall.
Now, you don't have to convince me that you're the right people for the deal. I wouldn't be here if you hadn't convinced me 6 months ago. You want the mill here, and I want it here. It isn't my business to find out why you want it here.
To bring the machine to the cotton and the cotton to the machine.
You have a turn for neat phrases, Hubbard. Well, however grand your reasons are, mine are simple. I want to make money, and I believe I'll make it on you. Mind you, I have no objections to more high-minded reasons. They are mighty valuable in business. It's fine to have partners who so closely follow the teachings of Christ. And now I must leave for my train.
Well, I'm sorry you won't stay over with us, Mr. Marshall, but you'll come again anytime you like.
Fill him up, boy, fill him up. Down here, sir, we have a strange custom. We drink the last drink for a toast. That's to prove that the Southerner is always still on his feet for the last drink. It was Henry Ford, your Mr. Henry Ford, who said, railroads are the Rembrandts of investments. Well, I say Southern cotton mills will be the Rembrandts of investment. So I give you the firm of Hubbard, Sons, and Marshall Cotton Mills, and to it a long and prosperous life.
The children will drive you to the depot. Leo, Alexandra, you will drive Mr. Marshall down.
Yes, sir. And not often Uncle Ben lets me drive the horses, and a beautiful pair they are. Come on, Zan.
May I drive tonight, Uncle Ben? Uncle Ben, please, I'd like to. And
Oh, no, my dear.
oh, but Leo always.
I don't like to say goodbye to you, Mr. Marshall.
Then we won't say goodbye. You promised that you would come and let me show you Chicago. Do I have to make you promise again?
I promise again.
Goodbye, Mrs. Hubbard.
Sir.
Remember,
I will. And there, buddy, goes the man who has opened the door to our future.
What?
Our future. Yours and mine, Ben and Oscar's, the children, our future. You were charming at supper, buddy. Mr. Marshall certainly thought so.
Why, Regina, you think he did?
Can't you tell when you're being admired?
Oscar said I bored Mr. Marshall, but he admired you. He told me so.
What did he say?
He said to me, I hope your sister-in-law will come to Chicago. Chicago will be at her feet. He said the ladies would bow to your manners and the gentlemen to your looks.
Did he? He seems a lonely man. Imagine being lonely with all that money. I don't think he likes his wife.
Not like his wife? What a thing to say.
She's away a great deal. He said that several times. And once he made fun of her being so social and high tone. That fits in all right. Her being social? I mean, she can introduce me. It won't take long with an introduction from her.
Introduce you? In Chicago? You mean you really might go? Oh, Regina, you can't leave here. What about Horace?
Oh, don't look so scared about everything, Bertie. I'm going to live in Chicago. I have always wanted to. And now there'll be plenty of money to go with.
But Horace won't be able to move around. You know what the doctor wrote?
There'll be millions, Bertie. Millions. You know what I've always said when people told me we were rich? I said, I think you should either be a nigger or a millionaire. In between, like us, What for? But I'm not going away tomorrow, Bertie. There's plenty of time to worry about Horace when he comes home, if he ever decides to come home.
Will we be going to Chicago? I mean, Oscar and Leo and me?
You? I shouldn't think so. Oh, well, we must remember tonight. It's a very important night and we mustn't forget it. We shall plan all the things we'd like to have, and then we'll really have them. Make a wish, Bertie. Any wish. It's bound to come true now.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Well, I guess I'd know right off what I wanted.
Well, you did it.
Looks like it might be we did.
Looks like it. Don't pretend. You're like a cat who's been licking the cream. Now we must all have a drink to celebrate.
Oh, the children, Alexander and Leo, make a very handsome couple, Regina. Huh? Also remarked that himself what a fine folks they were. How well they look together.
Yes, you said that before, Oscar.
Yes, sir. It's beginning to look as if the deal's all set. I may not be a subtle man, but now somebody asked me how I know the deal is set.
What do you mean, Ben?
Remember I told him that down here we drink the last drink for a toast?
Yes, I've never heard that before.
Nobody's ever heard it before. God forgives those who invent what they need. I already had his signature, but we've all done business with men whose word over glass is better than a bond. Anyway, it don't hurt to have both.
You understand what Ben means?
Yes, Oscar, I understand. I understood immediately.
Did you, Regina? Well, when he lifted his glass to drink, I closed my eyes and saw the bricks going into place.
And I saw a lot more than that.
Slowly, slowly. As yet, we have only our hopes.
Bertie and I have just been planning what we want. I know what I want. What will you want, Ben?
Caution, don't count the chickens. Well, God would allow us a little daydreaming, good for the soul when you worked hard enough to deserve it. I think I'll have a stable. For a long time, I've had my good eyes on Carters in Savannah. The rich man's pleasure, the sport of kings. Why not the sport of Hubbards? Why not?
Why not? What will you have, Oscar?
I don't know. The pleasure of seeing the bricks grow will be enough for me.
Well, of course, our greatest pleasure will be to see the bricks grow, but we're all entitled to a little side indulgence.
Yes, I suppose so. Well, then, I think we might take a few trips here and there, huh, Bertie?
Yes, Oscar, I like that.
We might even make a regular trip to Jekyll Island. I've heard the cornery place is for sale. We might think about buying it. Make a nice change. Do you good, Bertie. A change of climate. Fine shooting on Jekyll, the best.
I'd like.
What would you like?
2 things I'd like most.
2? I should like 1,000. You are modest, Bertie.
I should like to have Lionette back. I know you own it now, but I like to see it fixed up again the way Mama and Papa has it. Every year, it used to get a nice coat of paint. Papa was very particular about the paint, and the lawn was so smooth all the way down to the river, with the trims of zinnias and red feather plush, and the figs and blue little plums and the scuppernongs. The organ is still there, and it wouldn't cost much to fix. We could have parties for Zan, the way Mama used to have for me.
That's a pretty picture, Bertie. Might be a most pleasant way to live. What do you want? What do you want, Regina?
I could have a cutting garden just where Mama's used to be. Oh, I do think we could be happier there. Papa used to say that nobody ever lost their temper at Lionette, and nobody ever would. Papa would never let anybody be nasty spoken or mean. No, sir, he just didn't like it.
What do you want, Regina?
I'm going to Chicago. And when I'm settled there and know the right people and the right things to buy, because I certainly don't know now, I should go to Paris and buy them. I'm going to leave you and Oscar to count the bricks.
Oscar,
You are,
we have Lionette back.
you are serious about moving to Chicago?
He's going to see the great world and leave us and the little one. Well, we'll come and visit you and meet all the great and be proud you are our sister.
Certainly. And you won't even have to learn to be subtle, Ben. Stay as you are. You will be rich, and the rich don't have to be subtle.
But what about Alexandra? She's 17, old enough to be thinking about marrying.
And Oscar, I have one more wish, just one more wish.
What is it, Bertie? What are you saying?
I want you to stop shooting. I mean, so much. I don't like to see animals and birds killed just for the killing. You only throw them away.
It'll take a great deal of money to live as you're planning, Regina.
Certainly, but there'll be plenty of money. You have estimated the profits very high.
I have.
And you never let anybody else shoot. And the niggers needed so much to keep from starving. It's wicked to shoot food just because you like to shoot when poor people need it.
I have estimated the profits very high for myself.
What did you say?
I've always wanted to speak about it, Oscar.
What are you chattering about?
I was talking about Lynette and about your shooting.
You're exciting yourself.
I didn't hear you. There was so much talking.
You have been acting very childish, excited all evening.
Regina asked me what I'd like.
What did you say,
And
Ben?
now that we're so rich, everybody was saying what they would like. So I said what I would like too.
I said,
Very well, we all heard you. That's enough now.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you to finish. You and Bertie. 4 conversations are 3 too many. I said that I had, and I do estimate the profits very high for myself and Oscar, of course.
And what does that mean?
Well, Regina, it's like this. For 49%, Marshall will put up $400,000. 1%, a controlling interest, mind you, we will put up $225,000, besides offering him certain benefits that our local position allows us to manage. That means that $225,000 is a lot of money.
I know the terms, and I know it's a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah, but Ben means that we are ready with our 2/3 of the money. Your third, Horace's, I mean, doesn't seem to be ready. Ben has written to Horace. I have written, you have written. He answers, but he never mentions this business. Yet we have explained to him in great detail and told him the urgency. Still, he never mentions it. Ben has been very patient, Regina. Naturally, you are our sister, and we want you to benefit from anything we do.
And in addition to your concern for me, you do not want control to go out to the family. Is that right, Ben?
That's cynical. Cynicism is an unpleasant way of saying the truth.
No need to be cynical. We have no trouble raising the third share of the share that you want to take.
I am sure you could get the third share, the share you were saving for me, but that would give you a strange partner. And strange partners sometimes want a great deal. But perhaps it would be wise for you to find him.
Now, nobody says we want you to do that. We would like to have you in, and we would like you to come in.
Yes, I certainly would.
But we haven't heard from Horace.
I've given my word that Horace will put up that money. That should be enough.
Oh, it was enough. I took your word. But I've got to have more than your word now. The contracts will be signed this week, and Marshall will want to see our money soon after. But you know, Horace has been in Baltimore for 5 months. I know that you've written him to come home and that he hasn't come.
Huh. Well, it's beginning to look like if he doesn't want to come home.
Of course he wants to come home. You can't move around with heart trouble at any moment you choose. You know what doctors are like once they get their hands on a case like this.
They can't very well keep him from answering letters, can they? They could keep him from arranging for the money he wanted to.
Has it occurred to you that Horace is also a good businessman?
Certainly, he's a shrewd trader, always has been. The bank is proof of that.
Then possibly he may be keeping silent because he doesn't think he is getting enough for his money. 75,000 he has to put up. That's a lot of money.
Nonsense. He knows a good thing when he hears it. He knows that we can make twice the profit on cotton goods manufactured here than they can make in the mill.
That isn't what Regina means. May I interpret you, Regina? Regina is saying that Horace wants more than a third of our share.
But he's only putting up a third of the money. You put up a third, you get a third. What else can you expect?
Well, I don't know. I don't know about these things. It would seem that if you put up a third, you should only get a third. But then again, there's no law about it, is there? I mean, I should think if you knew your money was very badly needed, well, you just might say, I want more. I want a bigger share. You boys have done that. I've heard you say so.
So you believe he is deliberately held out for a larger share? Well, I don't believe it. But I do believe that's what you want. Am I right, Regina?
Oh, I shouldn't like to be too definite. But I could say that I wouldn't like to persuade Horace unless he did get a larger share. I must look after his interests. It seems only natural.
And where would that larger share come from?
I don't know. It's not my business. Perhaps it could come off your share, Oscar.
What kind of talk is this?
I haven't said a thing.
You are talking very big tonight.
Emma, well, you should know me well enough to know that I wouldn't be asking for things I didn't think I could get.
Yes, sir. I don't believe you can get Horace to come home, much less get money for him, or talk quite so big about what you want.
Oh, I can get him home.
Then why haven't you?
I thought I should fight his battles for him before he came home. Horace is a very sick man. And even if you don't care how sick he is, I do.
Stop this foolish squabbling. How can you get him home?
I will send Alexandra to Baltimore. She will ask him to come home. She will say that she wants him to come home and that I want him to come home.
Well, of course she wants him here, but he's sick and maybe he's happy where he is.
You agree that he will come home if she asks him to, if she says that I miss him and wants him.
I admire you, Regina, and I agree. That's settled now, and
But before she brings him home, I want to know what he's going to get.
what do you want?
Twice what you offered.
Well, you won't get it.
I think you're going crazy.
I don't want to fight, Ben.
I don't either. You won't get it. There isn't any chance of that. You're holding us up, and that's not pretty, Regina. Not pretty. I don't want to fight. But we need you, and here's what I'll do. I'll give Horace 40% instead of the 33 1/3 he really should get. I'll do that provided he is home and his money is up within 2 weeks. How's that?
All right.
But asked before, where is this extra share coming from?
From you, from your share.
From me. That's just fine and dandy. That's my reward for 35 years. I've worked my hands to the bone for you. 35 years, I've done all the things you didn't want to do. And this is what
I'm being attacked tonight on all sides. First by my sister, then by my brother, and I ain't a man who likes being attacked. I can't believe that God wants the strong to parade their strength, but I don't mind doing it if it's got to be done. You ought to take these things better, Oscar. I've made you money in the past. I'm going to make you more money now. You'll be a very rich man. What's the difference to any of us if a little more goes here, a little less goes there? It's all in the family and it will stay in the family. I'll never marry. So my money will go to Alexandra and Leo. They may even marry someday. And
Really? Zan and Leo?
That would make a great difference in my feelings if they were married.
that's what I mean. Of course it would make a difference.
Is that what you mean, Regina?
Oh, it's too far away. We'll talk about it in a few years.
I want to talk about it now.
Naturally.
There's a lot of things to consider. They are first cousins, and
That isn't unusual. My grandmother and grandfather were first cousins.
and look at us.
You both be very gay with my money.
These quarrels, I dislike them so. A marriage might be a very wise arrangement for several reasons. And then Oscar has given up something for you. You should try to manage something for him.
I haven't said I was opposed to it. But Leo is a wild boy. There were those times when he took a little money from the bank and...
But that's all past history.
Oh, I know. And I know all young men are wild. I'm only mentioning to show you that there are considerations.
All right. So there are. But please assure Oscar that you will think about it very seriously.
That's not an answer.
I assure Oscar that I will think about it seriously.
Now, Oscar will do what you wanted to do.
No, we've jumped. All right, so there are. But please assure Oscar that you will think about it very seriously.
That's not.
Very well, very well. I assure Oscar that I will think about it seriously.
That is not an answer.
My, you're in a bad humor, and you shall put me in one. I have said all that I am willing to say now. After all, Horace has to give his consent too.
Horace will do what you tell him to do.
Yes, I think he will.
And I have your word that you will try to?
Yes, Oscar. You have my word that I will think about it. Now do leave me alone.
Alexandra is only 17. She
Oh, Mr. Marshall got off safe and sound. Weren't those fine clothes he had? You can always spot clothes made in a good place, like maybe they were done in England. Lots of men in the NOAA send all the way to England for their stuff.
Were you careful driving the horses?
Oh, yes, sir, I was.
Oh, it's a lovely night. You should have come at Bertie.
Were you gracious to Mr. Marshall?
I think so. I liked him.
Good. And now I have great news for you. You are going to Baltimore in the morning to bring your father home.
Oh, me? Papa said I should come? That must mean Addie, he must be, well, think of it. He'll be back home again. We'll have him home.
You are going alone, Alexandra.
Going alone? Going by herself? A child that age? Mr. Horace ain't gonna like Zan traipsing up there all by herself.
Go upstairs and lay out Alexandra's things.
He expects me to be alone.
I'll be up in a few minutes to tell you what to pack. I should think you'd like to go alone. At your age, it certainly would have delighted me. You're a strange girl, Alexandra. Addie babied you so much.
I only thought it would be more fun if Addie and I went together.
maybe I could go with her, Regina. I'd really like to.
She is going alone. She is getting old enough to take some responsibilities.
She better learn now. She's almost old enough to get married, son?
Huh?
Old enough to get married, you're thinking, huh?
Oh, yes, sir. Lots of girls get married at Zan's age. Look at Mary Presta and Joanna. And
Well, she is not getting married tomorrow, but she is going to Baltimore tomorrow. So let's talk about that. You'd be glad to have Papa home again.
I wanted to go before, Mama. You remember that? But you said you couldn't go and that I couldn't go alone.
I've changed my mind. You ought to tell Papa how much you've missed him and that he must come home now for your sake. Tell him that you need him home.
Need him home? I don't understand.
There's nothing for you to understand. You are simply to say what I have told you.
He may be too sick. She couldn't do that.
Yes, he may be too sick to travel. I couldn't make him think he has to come home for me if he's too sick to...
You couldn't do what I tell you to do, Alexandra?
No, I couldn't. If I thought it would hurt him.
But you are doing this for Papa's own good. You must let me be the judge of his condition. It's the best possible cure for him to come home and be taken care of here. He mustn't stay there any longer and listen to those alarmist doctors. You are doing this entirely for his sake. Tell your Papa that I want him to come home and that I miss him very much.
Yes, Mama.
I must go and start getting Alexandra ready now. Why don't you all go home?
I'll attend the railroad ticket. One of the boys will bring it over. Good night, everybody. Have a nice trip, Alexandra. The food on the train is very good. The celery is so crisp. Have a good time and act like a little lady.
Good night, Ben. Good night, Oscar. Oh, don't be so glum, Oscar. It makes you look as if you had chronic indigestion.
Night, Regina.
Good night, Birdie.
Dan, imagine you're not wanting to go. What a little fool you are. Wish it were me. Oh, what I could do in a place like Baltimore.
Mind your business. I can guess the kind of things you could do.
Oh, no, you couldn't.
Come on, Alexandra.
I don't understand about my going, Aunt Bertie. But anyway, Papa will be home again. Don't worry about me. I can take care of myself. Really, I can.
That's not what I'm worried about.
What's the matter?
It's about Leo.
He beat the horses. That's why we were late getting back. We had to wait until they cooled off. He always beats the horses as if...
He's my son, my own son. But you are more to me than my own child. I love you more than anybody else.
Don't worry about the horses. I'm sorry I told you.
I am not worrying about the horses. I'm worrying about you. You are not going to marry Leo. I am not going to let them do that to you.
Marry? To Leo? I wouldn't marry Aunt Bertie. I never even thought about it.
But they have thought about it. Sam, I couldn't stand to think about such a thing. You and, oh my God.
But I'm not going to marry, and I'm certainly not going to marry Leo.
Don't you understand? They'll make you.
That's foolish, Aunt Bertie. I'm grown now. Nobody can make me do anything.
I just couldn't stand it.
Bertie, get your hat and coat.
Come on, baby. Your mama's waiting for you, and she ain't nobody to keep waiting.
All right. Good night, Aunt Bertie. Aunt Bertie, what happened? What happened?
Nothing. Nothing happened. Nothing, darling. Now go to bed. Nothing happened. I only twisted my ankle.
He goes out and Alexandra stands on the stairs looking at her. Act 2, same as Act 1, 1 week later. At the rise of the light comes from the open shutter, the right window. The other shutters are tightly closed. Addie is standing at the window looking out. Near the dining room doors are brooms, mops, etc. After a second, Oscar comes into the entrance hall and looks in the room and shivers. Deciding not to take his hat and coat off, he comes into the room at the sound of the door.
Oh, it's you, Mr. Oscar.
What is this? It's not night. What's the matter here? Fine thing. At home at this time of morning. Blinds all closed. Where's Miss Regina? It's so cold down here.
Miss Regina ain't down yet.
She had any word?
No, sir.
Wouldn't you think a girl that age could get on a train one place and have sense enough to get off on another?
Something must have happened. If Zan says she's coming last night, she's coming last night. Unless something happened. Surefire disgrace to let a baby like that go all the way alone and to bring home a sick man without.
Where we at here? Any you do a lot of judging around here, Addie. Judging your white folks, I mean.
Who's downstairs, Addie? Oh, it's you, Oscar. What are you doing here so early? I haven't been down yet. I'm not finished dressing.
You had any word from them?
No?
Then something certainly has happened. People don't just say they're arriving on Thursday night and they haven't come by Friday morning.
Oh, nothing has happened. Alexander just hasn't got sense enough to send a message.
Well, if nothing's happened, then why aren't they here?
You asked me that 10 times last night. My, you do fret so, Oscar. Anything might have happened. They may have missed connections in Atlanta. The train may have been delayed. Oh, 100 things could have kept him.
Where's Ben?
Where should he be? At home, probably. Really, Oscar. I don't tuck him in his bed and I don't take him out of it. Have some coffee and don't worry so much.
Have some coffee? There isn't any coffee. Oh, there you are. Is everything in this fancy house always late?
You ain't out shooting this morning, Mr. Oscar?
The first day I missed since I had my head cold. First day I missed in 8 years.
Yes, sir, I bet you. Simon said he say you had a mighty good day yesterday morning. That's what Simon say.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Bet you got enough bob white and squirrel to give every Negro in town a Jesus party. Most of them had had no meat since the cotton picking was over. Bet they give anything for a little piece of that meat.
Now, if I catch any nigger in this town going shooting, you know what's going to happen.
Yes, sir, Mr. Oscar. It was Simon who told me. And morning, Mr. Leo. You gentlemen having your breakfast with us here?
The boys in the bank don't know a thing. They haven't had any message.
What are you doing here, son?
You told me to find out if the boys at the bank had any message from Uncle Horace or Zan.
I told you if they had a message to bring it here. I told you if they didn't have a message, to stay at the bank and do your work.
Oh, I guess I misunderstood.
You didn't misunderstand. You just were looking for any excuse to take an hour off. You've got to stop thinking. You got to stop this kind of thing. You've got to start settling down. I mean, you're going to be a married man one of these days.
Yes, sir.
You also got to stop with that woman in Mobile. You're young and I haven't got no objections to outside women. That is, I haven't got no objections so long as they don't interfere with serious things. Outside women are all right in their place, but now isn't their place. You gotta realize that.
Yes, sir. I'll tell her. She'll act all right about it.
Also, you got to start working harder at the bank. You got to convince your Uncle Horace you're going to make a fit husband for Alexandra.
What do you think has happened to them? They're supposed to be here last night. I bet you Uncle Ben's mighty worried. 75,000 worried.
Ought to be. Damn well ought to be. First he don't answer his letters and then he don't come home.
Well, what will happen if Uncle Horace don't come home or
Don't put up the money? Oh, we'll get it from outside easy enough.
But you don't want outsiders.
Oh, I care who gets my share. I've been shaved already. Should have been right if he had to give away some of his.
Damn shame what they did to you.
Yeah, well, don't talk so loud. Don't you worry. When I die, you'll have as much as the rest. You might have yours and Alexander's. It's not so easy. I'm not so easily licked.
Well, I wasn't thinking of myself, Papa.
Well, you should be. You should be. It's every man's duty to think of himself.
You think Uncle Horace don't want to go in on this?
That's my hunch. He hasn't showed any signs of loving it.
But he hasn't listened to Aunt Regina yet either. Oh, he'll go along. It's too good a thing. Why wouldn't he want to? He's got plenty to invest with. He don't even have to sell anything. 88,000 worth of Union Pacific bonds sitting right there in his deposit box. All he's got to do is open that box.
But he late breakfast in this fancy house. Yes, he's had those bonds for 15 years. Bought them when they were low and just locked them up.
Yeah, just has to open that box and take them out. That's all. Easy as can be. Woo, the things in that box. There's all those bonds looking mighty fine. Then right next to them is a baby shoe of Zan's and a cheap old cameo on a string. And nobody would believe this. A piece of an old violin. Not even a whole violin, just a piece of an old thing. A piece of a violin.
Piece of a violin. I mean, what do you think about that? What do you think of that?
Yes, sir. A lot of other crazy things too. A poem, I guess it is, signed with his mother's name, and 2 old school books with notes and.
How do you know what's in the box, son?
Oh, well, one of the boys, sir. It was one of the boys at the bank. He took old Amanda's keys. It was Joe Horns. He just up and took Amanda's keys, and well, he took the box out. Then they all asked if I wanted to see too. So I took a little. I looked a little, I guess. But then I made them close up the box quick. And I told them never.
Joe Horns, you say? He opened it.
Yes, sir. Yes, he did. My word of honor. I don't expect that. I don't suppose that. I suppose that don't excuse me for looking. But I did make him close it up and put the keys back in Amanda's drawer.
Now, tell me the truth, Leo. I'm not going to be angry with you. Did you open the box yourself?
No, sir, I didn't. I told you I didn't. No.
I'm not going to be angry with you. Sometimes a young fellow deserves credit for looking around to see what's going on. Sometimes that's a good sign in a fellow your age. Many great men that made their fortune with their eyes. Did you open the box?
No.
Did you open the box? It may have been, well, it may have been a good thing if you had.
I opened it.
Is that the truth? Does anybody else know you opened it? Come on, Leo. You're speaking the truth to me.
No, nobody knew.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was in the bank when I did it. But
your Uncle Horace ever opened it?
He only looks at it once every 6 months when he cuts coupons, and sometimes Manders even does that for him. Uncle Horace don't even have the keys. Manders keeps them for him. Imagine not looking at all that. You could bet if I had the bonds, I'd watch them like a.
If you had them, then you could have a share in the mill. You and me, a fine big share too. Well, man can't be shot. He wants to see his son get on in the world, can he?
No, he can't. Natural enough. But I haven't got the bonds, and Uncle Horace has. And now he can just sit back and wait to be a millionaire.
You think your Uncle Horace likes you well enough to lend you the bonds if he decides not to use them himself?
Papa, it must be that you haven't had your breakfast. Lend me the bonds. My God.
No, I suppose not. Just a fancy bond. Loan for 3 months, maybe 4, usually enough to pay back then. Anyway, this is only April, and he doesn't look at them until autumn. He wouldn't even miss them out of the box.
That's it. He wouldn't even miss them.
No, sir.
Oh, well.
Oh, sir, wouldn't even miss them. How could he miss them if he never looks at them? Well, here we are sitting around waiting for him to come home to invest his money in something he hasn't lifted a hand to get. But I can't help thinking he's acting strange. You laugh when I say he could lend you the bonds if he's not going to use them himself. But would it hurt him?
No. No, it wouldn't.
People ought to help other people, but that's not always the way it happens. And sometimes you got to think for yourself. Morning, Ben. Where's Ben? Austin. Hey, and sometimes you got to think for yourself. Morning, Ben. No. This is fine. You rising mighty late these days. Is that way they do it in Chicago society?
Okay, wait, let's go back a second.
Okay.
I just thought I was giving him a chance to get here.
So was I, but I think I just jump ahead because I didn't know if you were doing it. All right.
Oh, I'm right here. I'm
Okay.
totally.
Okay. And so sometimes you've got to think for yourself. Morning, Ben.
There's no news, or you would have heard it. Quite a convention so early in the morning, aren't y'all?
You're rising mighty late these days. Is that the way you do things in Chicago society?
Jack, should we get in touch with Austin? Is he muted?
I'm sending him, asking him to.
There. It wouldn't unmute. Okay.
Okay, cool. Let's go back. Let's go back. Thank you.
And sometimes, okay?
All right. Yeah.
And sometimes you got to think for yourself.
Fine sunny morning. Any news from the runways?
There's no news, or you would have heard it. Quite a convention so early in the morning, aren't y'all?
You're rising mighty late these days. Is that the way they do things in Chicago society?
Old Carter died up in Senatorville. 81 is a good time for us all, huh? What do you think has really happened to Horace, Regina?
Nothing.
You don't think he maybe never started from Baltimore and never intends to start?
Of course they've started. Didn't I have a letter from Alexandra? What is so strange about people arriving late? He has that cousin in Savannah, so he's so fond of. He may have stopped to see him. He'll be along today sometime. Very flattered that you and Oscar are so worried about.
I'm a natural worrier, especially when I'm getting ready to close a business deal and one of my partners remains silent and invisible.
Is that it? I thought you were worried about Horace's health.
Oh, and that too. We could help, but worry. We couldn't help but worry. I'm worried. This is the first day I haven't been shooting since my head cold.
And you haven't had your breakfast. Come along.
Regina, that cousin of Horace's has been dead for years, and in any case, the train does not go through Savannah.
Did he die? You're always remembering about people dying. Now, I intend to eat my breakfast in peace and read my newspaper.
This is second breakfast for me. My first was bad. She ain't the cook she used to be, too old to have taste anymore. If she hadn't belonged to Mama, I'd send her off to the country.
Uncle Horace will have some tales to tell, I bet. Baltimore is a lively town.
The grits isn't hot enough. Take it back. Cal, take it back. The grits isn't hot enough. Take it back now. Somebody tell Cal to take these grits back.
I'll take it back.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Go on, Leo. Yeah.
Well, Aunt Regina, she'll come get it at some point. When I was at school, 3 of the boys and myself took a train once and went over to Baltimore. It was so big, we thought we were in Europe. I was just a kid then.
I find it very pleasant to have breakfast alone. I hate chattering before I've had something hot. Do be still, Leo.
Outside is the sound of voices. Quickly, Addie runs into the hall. A few minutes later, she appears again in the doorway, her arm around the shoulder of Horace Giddens, supporting him. Horace is a tall man of about 45. He has been good looking, but now his face is tired and ill. He walks stiffly, as if it were an enormous effort, and carefully, as if he were unsure of his balance. Addie takes off his overcoat and hangs it on the wall. She helps him into a chair.
How are you, Addie? How have you been?
I'm all right, Mr. Horace. I've just been worried about you.
Don't tell me how worried you were. We couldn't help it, and there was no way to send a message.
Yes, sir, I was mighty worried.
We had to stop in Mobile overnight. Papa didn't feel well. The trip was so much for him, and it made him stop and rest. No, don't take that. That's Father's medicine. I'll hold it. It mustn't break. Now, about the stuff outside, Papa must have his wheelchair. I'll get that and the valises, and...
Since when you got to carry your own valises? Since when I ain't old enough to hold a bottle of medicine? You feel all right, Mr. Horace?
Glad to be sitting down.
He doesn't feel all right. He just says that. The trip was very hard on him, and now he must go right to bed.
Them fancy doctors, they give you help?
They did their best.
I bet Mama was worried. I better tell her we're here now.
Zan? Not for a minute, dear.
Oh, Papa, you feel bad again. I knew you did. Do you want your medicine?
No, I don't feel that way. I'm just tired, darling. Let me rest a little.
They're all in there eating breakfast.
Oh, are they all here? Why do they always have to be here? I was hoping Papa wouldn't have to see anybody, that it would be nice for him and quiet.
Then let your Papa rest for a minute.
Addie, I bet your coffee's as good as ever. They don't have such good coffee up north. Is it as good, Addie?
No, Dr. Reeves said not much coffee, just now and then. I'm the nurse now, Addie.
You'd be a better one if you didn't look so dirty. Now go take a bath, change your linens, get a fresh dress, give your hair a good brushing. Go on now, brush your hair, do something.
Will you go on? Will you be all right, Papa?
Go on.
The pills Papa must take once every 4 hours, and the bottle only if he feels bad. Now don't move until I come back, and don't talk much, and remember about his medicine, Addie. How's Aunt Bertie? Is she here?
It ain't right for you to have coffee. It'll hurt you.
Nothing can make much difference now. Give me a cup, Addie. Funny, they can't make coffee up north. They don't like red pepper either. Oh, God, that's good. You remember how I used to drink it? 10, 12 cups a day, so strong it'd stain the cup. Addie, before I see anybody else, I want to know why Zan came to fetch me home. She tried to tell me, but she doesn't seem to know herself.
I don't know. All I know is big things are going on. Everybody has to be so high-tone rich, big rich. You too. All because smoke's gonna start soon out of a building that ain't even up yet.
I've heard about it.
And well, maybe Zan, she's gonna marry Mr. Leo in a little while.
What are you talking about?
That's right. That's the talk. God help us.
What's the talk?
I'm telling you, there's gonna be a wedding.
Go and tell them I'm home.
Now you ain't to get excited. You're to lie in your bed.
Go on, Addie. Go and say I'm back.
Miss Regina, they're home. They got here.
Horace, you've finally arrived.
All right. Well, well, sir, you had us all mighty worried. You're a sore sight for sore eyes.
Hello, Ben.
How you feeling? Tip top, I bet, because that's the way you're looking.
Hello, Oscar. Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm fine, sir, but a lot better now that you're back.
Now sit down. What did happen to you, and where's Alexandra? I'm so excited about seeing you that I almost forgot about her.
I didn't feel good, a little weak, I guess, and we stopped overnight to rest. Zan's upstairs washing off the train dirt.
Oh, I am so sorry the trip was hard on you. I didn't think that.
Well, it's just as if I'd never been away, all of you here.
That's fine, Ben. Oh, there you are.
Wait, I'm sorry.
201, Austin.
Waiting to welcome you home.
Birdie.
Horace!
I was wondering where you were, Bertie.
Back until somebody saw the buggy. Oh, you don't look well. No, you don't.
Birdie, what a thing to say.
Oscar thinks I look very well.
Don't just stand there holding that biscuit in your hand.
Oh well, I'll just finish my breakfast, Uncle Horace, and then I'll give you all the news about the bank.
And what is that costume you have on?
Me?
Yeah.
It's my wrapper. I was so excited about Horace and that I just rushed out of the house.
Yeah.
I came all across the square dressed this way.
I asked you something I lost here. I asked you, what is that strange costume you got parading around in?
Me? Oh, that's my wrapper. I was so excited about Horace, I just rushed out of the house.
Did you come across the square dressed that way? My dear Birdie,
Yes, it's just like old times.
Now, no fights. This is a holiday.
Run, Zanny.
Birdie.
Tell Zan I'll be back in a little while.
Why don't you go finish your breakfast and let Horace rest for a minute?
Never leave a meal unfinished. There are too many poor people who need the food. Mighty glad to see you home, Horace. Fine to have you back, fine to have you back.
Your mother has gone crazy, running around the streets like a woman that had.
Well,
Well, here we are. It's been a long time. 5 months, you know, Horace. I wanted to come and be with you in the hospital, but I didn't know where my duty was, here or with you. But you know how much I wanted to come.
that's kind of you, Regina. There was no need to come.
Oh, but there was. 5 months lying there all by yourself, no kinfolks, no friends. Don't try to tell me you didn't have a bad time of it.
I didn't have a bad time. No, I didn't, Regina. Oh, at first when I heard the news about myself. But after I got used to that, I liked it there.
You liked it? Isn't that strange? You liked it so well you didn't want to come home?
That's not the way to put it. But there I was, and I got kind of used to it, kind of like lying there and thinking. Never had much time to think before, and time's become valuable to me.
Sounds almost like a holiday.
It was, sort of. The first holiday I've had since I was a little kid.
Yeah, I was thinking you were in pain,
I was in pain.
and instead you were having a holiday of thinking. Couldn't you have done that here?
I wanted to do it before I came here. I was thinking about us.
About us? About you and me? Thinking about you and me after all these years. You shall tell me everything you thought someday.
Regina, why did you send Zan to Baltimore?
Why? Because I wanted you home. You can't make anything suspicious out of that, can you?
I didn't mean to make anything suspicious about it. Zan said you wanted me to come home. I was so pleased at that and touched. It made me feel good.
Touched that I should want you home.
I'm saying all the wrong things as usual. Let's try to get along better. There isn't so much more time. Regina, what's all this crazy talk I've been hearing about Zan and Leo? Zan and Leo marrying.
Who gossips so much around here?
Regina!
It's some foolishness that Oscar thought up. I'll explain later. I have no intention of allowing any such arrangement. It was simply a way of keeping Oscar quiet and all this business I've been writing you about.
What has Zan to do with any business of Oscar's? Whatever it is, you had better put it out of Oscar's head immediately. You know what I think of Leo.
Oh, but there's no need to talk about it now.
There is no need to talk about it ever. Not as long as I live. As long as I live. Been in a hospital for 5 months. Yet since I've been here, you have not once asked about me, about my health. Well, I suppose they've written you. I can't live very long.
I never understood why people have to talk about this kind of thing.
You misunderstand. I don't intend to gossip about my sickness. I thought it was only fair to tell you. I was not asking for your sympathy.
Why did the doctors think caused your bad heart?
What do you mean?
They didn't think it possible, did they, that your fancy women may have...
Caused my heart to be bad? I don't think that's the best scientific theory. You don't catch heart trouble in bed.
I thought you might catch a bad conscience. In bed, as you say.
I didn't tell them about my bad conscience or about my fancy women, nor did I tell them that my wife has not wanted me in bed with her for... How long is it, Regina? 10 years? Did you bring me home for this to make me feel guilty again? That means you want something. But you'll not make me feel guilty anymore. My thinking has made a difference.
I see that it has. It's foolish for us to fight this way. I didn't mean to be unpleasant. I was stupid.
God knows I didn't either. I came home wanting so much not to fight, and then all of a sudden, here we were.
It's all my fault. I didn't ask about your illness because I didn't want to remind you of it. Anyway, I never believe doctors when they talk like that.
I understand. Well, we'll try our best with each other.
I'll try. Honestly, I will, Horace. Horace, I know you're tired, but couldn't you stay down here a few minutes longer? I want Ben to tell you something.
Tomorrow.
I'd like to now. It's very important to me. It's very important to all of us. Important to your beloved daughter. She'll be a great heiress.
Will she? That's nice.
Ben, are you finished breakfast?
Is this the mill business I've had so many letters about?
Horace would like to talk to you now.
Horace would not like to talk to you now. I'm very tired, Regina.
Please. You've said we'll try our best with each other. I'll try. Really, I will. Please do this for me now. You will see what I've done while you've been away, how I've watched your interests. And I've done very well, too. But things can't be delayed any longer. Everything must be settled this week. Now, you must tell Horace all about it. Only be quick because he's very tired and must go to bed. But I think your news will be better for him than all the medicine in the world.
It could wait. Horace may not feel like talking today.
What an old faker you are. You know it can't wait. You know it must be finished this week. You've been just as anxious for Horace to get here as I've been.
I suppose I have been, and why not? Horace has done Hubbard's Sons many a good turn. Why shouldn't I be anxious to help him now?
Help him? Help him when you need him. That's what you mean.
What a woman you married, Horace. Well, then I'll make it quick. You know that I've been telling you for years how I've always said that every one of us little Southern businessmen had great things right beyond our fingertips. It's been my dream to make those. I'm a lucky man, Horace. A lucky man. To dream and to live and get what you've dreamed of. That's my idea of a lucky man. For 30 years, I've cried, bring the cotton mills to the cotton. Well, finally, I got up the nerve to Marshall Company in Chicago.
I know all this.
Can I get you something?
Some water, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. You feel all right now?
Yes. You wrote me. I know all that.
But you don't know that in the last few days, Ben has agreed to give us, a much larger share.
Really? That's very generous of him.
It wasn't generous of me. It was smarter with Gina.
I explained to Ben that perhaps you hadn't answered his letters because you didn't think he was offering you enough, and that the time was getting short and you could guess how much he needed you.
And I could guess that he wants to keep control in the family.
Exactly. So I did a little bargaining for you and convinced my brothers they weren't the only Hubbards who had a business sense.
Did you have to convince them of that? How little people know about each other. But you'll know better about Regina next time, eh, Ben? Now, let's see. We're getting a bigger share. Who's getting less?
Oscar.
Well, Oscar, you've grown very unselfish. What happened to you?
Oscar doesn't mind. Not worth fighting about now, huh, Oscar?
I'll get mine in the end. You can be sure of that. I got my son's future to think about.
Leo? Oh, I see. I am beginning to see. Everybody will get theirs.
I knew you'd see it. 75,000, and that 75,000 will make you $1 million.
It will, Horace. It will.
I believe you. Now I can understand Oscar's self-sacrifice. But what did you have to promise Marshall Company besides the money you're putting up?
They wouldn't take promises. They wanted guarantees.
Of what?
Water power, free and plenty of it.
Well, you got them that, of course.
Cheap. You'd think the governor of a great state would make his price a little higher from pride, you know. Cheap wages. What do you mean by cheap wages? I say to Marshall, less than Massachusetts. He says to me, and that averages 8 a week. 8 a week, by God, I tell him I'd work for 8 a week myself. Why, there ain't a mountain white or a town nigger but wouldn't give his right arm for $3 silver a week, eh, Horace?
Sure, and they'll take less than that when you get around to playing them off against each other. You can save a little money that way, Ben. Make them hate each other just a little more than they do now.
What's this all about?
There'll be no trouble from anybody, white or black. Marshall said that to me. What about strikes? That's all we've had in Massachusetts for the last 3 years. I say to him, what's a strike? I never heard of one. Come south, Marshall. We got good folks and we don't stand for any fancy fooling.
You're right. Well, it looks like you made a good deal for yourselves and for Marshall, too. Your father used to say he made the thousands and you boys would make the millions. I think he was right.
Millions for us, too.
Us? You and me? I don't think so. We've got enough money, Regina. We'll just sit by and watch the boys grow rich. How's everything at the bank, Leo?
Fine, sir. Everything is fine.
How are all the ladies in Mobile? Whatever made you think I'd let Zan marry?
Do you mean that you are turning this down? Is it possible that's what you mean?
No, that's not what he means. Turning down her fortune, Horace is tired. He'd rather talk about it tomorrow.
You can't keep putting it off this way. Oscar must be in Chicago by the end of the week with the money and contracts.
Yes, sir. He's got to be there at the end of the week. No sense going without the money.
I've waited long enough for your answer. I'm not going to wait any longer.
I'm very tired now, Regina.
Now, Horace probably has his reasons, things he'd like explained. Tomorrow we can...
I want to know his reasons now.
I don't know them all myself. Let's leave it at that.
We shall not leave it at that. We had waited for you here like children, waited for you to come home.
So that you could invest my money. So that is why you wanted me home? Well, I'd hoped. If you are disappointed, Regina, I'm sorry. But I must do what I think is best. We'll talk about it another day.
We'll talk about it now, just you and me.
Please, Regina, it's been a hard trip. I don't feel well. Please leave me alone now.
I want to talk to you, Horace.
Sometimes it is better to wait for the sun to rise again. And sometimes, as our mother used to tell you, it's unwise for a good-looking woman to frown. Softness and a smile do more to the heart of men.
Let's hope she'll change his mind. Let's us hope.
Paper says 27 cases of yellow fever in New Orleans. Guess the floodwaters caused it. thought they were building the levees high enough. Like the niggers always say, a man born of a woman can't build nothing high enough for Mississippi.
Oh. Now, just suppose that she don't change her mind. Just suppose he keeps on refusing.
He's tired. It was a mistake to talk to him today. He's a sick man, but he ain't the crazy one.
But suppose he is crazy. What then?
Then we'll go outside for the money. There's plenty who would give it.
And plenty who will want a lot for what they give. The ones who are rich enough to give will be smart enough to want. That means we'll be working for him, don't it, then?
You don't have to tell me the things I told you 6 months ago.
Oh, you're right not to worry. She'll change his mind. She always has. But maybe, I don't believe it. I never did believe he was going in with us.
Well, what the hell do you expect me to do?
Nothing. You've done your almighty best. Nobody could blame you if the whole thing just dripped right through your fingers. You can't do a thing. But there may be something I could do for us. Or I might better say, Leo could do for us. Ain't that true, son? Ain't that true? You might be able to help your own kinfolks.
Papa,
Nobody help us, Oscar.
Leo's got a friend. Leo's got a friend who owns $88,000 in Union Pacific bonds. Leo's friend don't look at the bonds much, not for 5 or 6 months at a time.
Union Pacific. Let me understand. Leo's friend would lend him these bonds and he
would be kind enough to lend them to us.
Leo?
Yes, sir.
When would your friends be wanting the bonds back?
I don't know. I think.
You told me he wouldn't look at them until autumn.
Oh, that's right. But not till autumn. Uncle Horace never.
Be still.
Your uncle doesn't wish to know your friend's name.
That's a good one. Not know his name.
We won't look at them again until September. That gives us 5 months. Leo will return the bonds in 3 months, and we'll have no trouble raising the money once the mills are going up. Will Mr. Marshall accept the bonds?
Why not? Why not? Good. We are lucky. We'll take the loan from Leo's friend. I think he will make a safer partner than our sister.
Mm-hmm.
How soon can you get them?
Today, right now. They're in the safe deposit box.
No, I don't want to know where they are.
We'll keep a secret from you.
Good. Draw a check for our part. You can take the night train for Chicago. Well, Oscar, good luck to us.
Oh, Leo, we'll be taken care of.
I'm entitled to Uncle Horace's share. I'd enjoy being a partner.
Oh, you would. You can go to hell, you little.
No. He didn't mean that. I only want to be sure he'll get something out of all this.
Of course, we'll take care of him. We won't have any trouble about that. I'll see you at the store.
That's settled then. Come on, son.
I was only going to say what a great day this was for me. And
go on.
Mama, don't. Uncle Ben, please go up. Please make Mama stop. Uncle Ben, he's sick. He's so sick. How can Mama talk to him like that? Please make her stop. Sure.
Alexandra, you have a tender heart.
Go on up, Uncle Ben, please.
Now you see, everything is over. Don't worry. Alexandra, I want you to tell your mother how sorry I am that I had to leave, and don't worry so, my dear. Married folk frequently raise their voices, unfortunately.
How can you treat Papa like this? He's sick. He's very sick. Don't you know that I won't let you?
Mind your business, Alexandra. How much longer can you wait for the money?
He has refused mine. That's too bad.
He will change his mind. I'll find a way to make him. What's the longest you can wait?
I could wait until next week, but I can't wait until next week. I could, but I can't. Could and can't. Well, I must go now. I'm very late.
You're not going. I want to talk to you.
I was about to give Alexandra a message for you. I wanted to tell you that Oscar's going to Chicago tonight, so we can't be here for our usual Friday supper.
Oscar's going to What do you mean?
Just that. Everything is settled. He's going to deliver to Marshall.
I demand to know what. You are lying. You're trying to scare me. You haven't got the money. How could you have it? You can't have. You will wait until I.
You're getting out of hand. Since when do I take orders from you?
Wait, you. How can he go to Chicago? Did a ghost arrive with the money? I don't believe you. Come back here. Come back here, you.
It's a great day when you and Ben cross swords. I've been waiting for it for years.
Papa, please go back. You will.
And so they don't need you, and so you will not have your millions after all.
You hate to see anybody live now, don't you? You hate to think that I'm going to be alive and have what I want.
I should have known you'd think that was the reason.
Because you're going to die. And you know you're going to die.
Mama, don't listen, Papa. Just don't listen. Don't listen. Go away.
Not to keep you from getting what you want. Not even partly that. I'm sick of you. Sick of this house. Sick of my life here. I'm sick of your brothers and their dirty tricks to make a dime. Why should I give you the money? To pound the bones of this town to make dividends for you to spend? You wreck this town, you and your brothers. You wreck the town and live on it. Not me. Maybe it's easy for the dying, to be honest, but it's not my fault I'm dying. I'll do no more harm now. I've done enough. I'll die my own way, and I'll do it without making the world any worse. I leave that to you.
I hope you die. I hope you die soon. I'll be waiting for you to die.
Papa, don't listen. Don't.
The curtain falls. Ooh. Act 2. Wow. Same as Act 1, 2 weeks later. It is late afternoon and it is raining. At Rise, Horace is sitting near the window in a wheelchair. On the table next to him, a safe deposit box and a small bottle of medicine. Bertie and Alexandra are playing the piano. On a chair is a large sewing basket.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2. We once played together, Horace. Remember?
What, Bertie?
We played together. You and me.
Papa used to play.
Indeed. He played the fiddle and your weapon.
I never knew.
Where's your mama?
Gone to Miss Sophronia's to fit her dresses.
Addie, tell Cal to go to things. I want him to go on an errand.
It's too bad. It's been raining all day, Papa, but you can go out in the yard tomorrow. Don't be restless.
I'm not restless, darling.
I remember so well the time we played together, your papa and me. It was the first time Uncle brought me to supper. I had never seen all the Hubbards together before, and you know what a ninny I am and how shy. You said you could play the fiddle and you'd be much obliged if I play with you. I was obliged to you. All right, all right. You haven't heard a word I've said.
Bertie, when did Oscar get back from Chicago?
Yesterday. Hasn't he been here yet?
No, neither has Uncle Ben since that day.
Oh, I didn't know it was that bad. Oscar never tells me anything.
The Hubbards have had their great quarrel. I knew it would come day.
It came.
It came.
Came all right. It certainly came all right.
Oscar was in such a good humor when he got home. I didn't.
Yes, I can understand that.
Addie, a party, what for?
Nothing for. I had the fresh butter, so I made the cakes, and a little elderberry does the stomach so much good in the rain.
This is nice. A party just for us? Let's pick out party music.
Come over here, Mr. Horace, and don't be thinking so much. A glass of elderberry will do more good.
Oh, good cakes, Addie. It's nice here, just us. Be nice if it could always be this way.
Quiet and restful.
Well, it won't be that way long. Little while now, even sitting here, you'll hear the red bricks going into place. The next day, smoke will be pushing out of the chimneys, and by church time next Sunday, every human born of woman will be living on chicken. That's how Mr. Ben's been telling the story.
They believe it that way?
Believe it. They used to believe in what Mr. Ben orders. There ain't been so much talk around here since Sherman's army didn't come near.
They are fools.
You ain't born in the South unless you're a fool.
But we didn't play together after that night. Oscar said he didn't like me to play on the piano. You know what he said that night?
Who?
Oscar. He said that music made him nervous. He said that he just sat and waited for the next note. He wasn't poking fun. He meant it. Ah, well. Your papa, I don't like to admit it, but he's been mighty kind to me all these years. Often he'd step in when somebody said something, and once he stopped Oscar for, I'm sorry I said that. Here I am so happy, and yet I think about bad things. That's not right now, is it?
Have a cake, Cal.
You want me, Mr. Horace?
What time is it, Cal?
About 10 minutes before it's 5.
All right. Now you walk yourself down to the bank.
It'll be closed. Nobody will be there but Mr. Manders, Mr. Joe Horns, Mr. Leo.
Go in the back way. They'll be at the table going over the day's business. See that box?
Yes, sir.
You tell Mr. Manders that Mr. Horace says he's much obliged to him for bringing the box. It arrived all right.
He know you got the box. He bring it himself Wednesday. I opened the door to him and he say, "Hello, Cal. Coming on to summer weather."
You say just what I tell you, understand?
No, sir. I ain't going to say I understand. I'm going down to tell a man he give you something he already know he give you, and you say, understand.
Now, Cal.
Yes, sir. I was just going to say, you obliged for the box coming all night. All right. Ain't going to understand it, but I'm going to say it.
And tell him I want him to come over here after supper and to bring Mr. Saul Fowler with him.
He's to come after supper and bring Mr. Saul Fowler, your attorney at law, with him.
That's right. Just walk right in the back room and say your piece in front of everybody.
Yes, sir.
Is anything the matter, Papa?
Oh, no, nothing.
Miss Birdie, that elderberry gonna give you a headache spell.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think it will.
You want your medicine, Papa?
No, I'm all right, darling.
Mama used to give me elderberry wine when I was a little girl for hiccups. You know, I don't think people get hiccups anymore. Isn't that funny? I used to get hiccups just when I shouldn't have.
And nobody gets growing pains anymore? That is funny. Just as there was some style in what you get. One year ailment's stylish, and the next year it ain't.
I remember it was my first big party at one, and I was so excited. And there were the hiccups and Mama laughing. Mama always laughed. A big party, a lovely dress from Mr. Worth in Paris, France, and hiccups. My brother pounded me on the back, and Mama with the elderberry bottle laughing at me. Everybody was on it to come, and I was such a ninny hiccuping away. You know, the first day I ever saw Oscar Hubbard, the Browns were selling their horses, and he was going there to buy. He passed, lifted, we could see him from the window. And my brother, who teased Mama, said, maybe he never had somebody. He said, no, he liked them because they kept a store. That was all. And then I saw Mama angry for the first time in my life. She said that wasn't the way. She said she was old-fashioned, but not that way. She said she was old-fashioned enough not to like people who killed animals they couldn't use and who made their money charging awful interest to ignorant niggers and cheating them on what they bought. She was very angry, Mama was. I had never seen her face like that. And then suddenly she laughed and said, look, I frightened Bertie out of the hiccups. And so she had. They were all gone.
Yeah, and they got mighty well off cheating colored folks. Well, there are people who eat the earth and eat the people on it, like in the Bible with the locusts, and other people who stand around and watch them eat it. Sometimes I think it ain't right to just stand and watch them do it.
Like I say, if we could only go back to Lynette, everybody'd be better there. They'd be good and kind. I like people to be kind. Don't you, Horace? Don't you like people to be kind?
Yes, Bertie.
Yes. That was the first day I ever saw Oscar. Who would have thought? You all want to know something? Well, I don't like Leo, my very own son, and I don't like him. I guess I even like Oscar more.
Why did you marry Uncle Oscar?
That ain't no question for you to be asking.
Why not? She's heard enough around here to ask anything.
I don't know. I thought I liked him. He was kind to me, and I thought it was because he liked me too. But that wasn't the reason. Ask why he married me. I can tell you that. He's told it to me often enough.
Miss Birdie, don't.
My family was good, and the cotton on Lionette's fields was better. Ben Hubbard wanted the cotton, and Oscar Hubbard married it for him. He was kind to me then. He used to smile at me. He hasn't smiled at me since. Everybody knew that's why he married me for. Everybody but me. Stupid, stupid me.
I see. Papa, I mean, when you feel better, couldn't we go away? I mean, by ourselves? Couldn't we find a way to go?
Yes, I know what you mean. We'll try to find a way, I promise you, darling.
Rest a bit, Miss Birdie. You get to talking like this, you'll have a headache and...
Never had a headache in my life. You know it as well as I do. I never had a headache, Sam. That's a lie they tell for me. I drink all by myself in my own room. I drink. Then, when they want to hide it, they say, Bertie's got a headache again.
Aunt Bertie,
Even you won't like me now. You won't like me anymore.
I love you. I'll always love you.
Well, don't. Don't love me. Because in 20 years, you'll be just like me. They'll do all the same things to you. You know what? In 22 years, I haven't had a whole day of happiness. Oh, a little like today with all of you, but never a single whole day. I say to myself, if only I had one more whole day, then. And you'll trail after them just like me, hoping they won't be so mean that day or say something to make you feel so bad. Only you'll be worse off because you haven't got my mama to remember.
I guess we were all trying to make a happy day. You know, we sit around and try to pretend nothing's happened. We try to pretend we are not here. We make believe we are just by ourselves someplace else, and it doesn't seem to work. Come now, Aunt Bertie. I'll walk you home. You and me.
Well, first time I ever heard Miss Birdie say a word. Maybe it's a good word. I'm just so sorry Zan had to hear it. You feel bad, don't you?
So you didn't want Zan to hear? It would be nice to let her stay innocent like Bertie at her age. Let her listen now. Let her see everything. How else is she going to know that she's got to get away? I'm trying to show her that. I'm trying, but I've only got a little time left. She can even hate me when I'm dead if only she'll learn to hate and fear this.
Mr. Horace.
Pretty soon there'll be nobody to help her but you.
What can I do?
Take her away.
How can I do that? Do you think they're going to let me just go away with her?
I'll fix it so that they can't stop you when you're ready to go. You'll go, Addie?
Yes, sir. I promise.
I'm going to have Saul Fowler make me a new will. They'll make trouble, but you make Zan stand firm and Fowler do the rest. Addie, I'd like to leave you a little something for yourself. I've always wanted to.
Don't you do that, Mr. Horace. A colored woman in a white man's will? I'd never get it anyhow.
I know, but upstairs in the armoire drawer, there's $3,700 bills. It's money left from my trip. It's in an envelope with your name. It's for you.
That's mighty kind and good of you. I don't know what to say for thanks.
I'm back. I'm back.
So we see.
Well?
Nothing. I just went down and spoke my piece, just like you told me. I say, Mr. Horace, he thank you mightily for the safe box arriving in good shape. And he say, you come right after supper to his house and bring Mr. Attorney at Law, Saul Fowler, with you. Then I wipe my hands on my coat. Every time I ever told the lie in my whole life, I wipe my hands up right here, right after. Well, while I'm wiping my hands, Mr. Leo jump up and say to me, what box? What are you talking about?
Did he?
And Mr. Leo say he got to leave a little early because he got something to do. And then Mr. Mander say, Mr. Leo should sit right down and finish up his work. Stop acting like somebody made him Mr. President. So he sat down. Now, just like I told you, Mr. Manders was mighty surprised with the message because he knows right well he brought the box. But he took it all right. Some men take everything easy and some do not.
Mr. Leo was telling the truth. He has got something to do. I hope Manders don't keep him too long. No, leave me where I am.
But that's Mr. Philip coming back.
Go away, Addie.
Mr. Horace, we'll talk no more today. You don't feel well and it won't do no good.
Go on.
We had agreed that you were to stay in your part of the house and I in mine. This room is my part of the house. Please don't come down here again.
I won't.
I'll get Cal to take you upstairs.
Before you do, I want to tell you that after all, we have invested our money in Hubbard Sons and Marshall cotton manufacturers.
What are you talking about? You haven't seen Ben. When did you change your mind?
I didn't change my mind. I didn't invest the money. It was invested for me.
What?
I had $88,000 worth of Union Pacific bonds in that safe deposit box. They are not there now. Go and look. Go and look, Regina. Those bonds are as negotiable as money.
What kind of joke are you playing now? Is this for my benefit?
I don't look in that box very often, but 3 days ago on Wednesday it was because I had made a decision.
I want to know what you're talking about.
Don't interrupt me again. Because I had made a decision, I sent a box. Those bonds were gone. $88,000 gone.
Do you think I am crazy enough to believe what you're saying?
Believe anything you like.
Where did they go to?
They're in Chicago with Mr. Marshall, I should guess.
What did they do? Walk to Chicago? Have you really gone crazy?
Leo took the bonds.
I don't believe it.
I wasn't there, but I can guess what happened. This fine gentleman with whom you were bargaining, your daughter, took the keys and opened the box. You remember that the day after the fight, Oscar went to Chicago? Well, he went with my bonds that his son Leo had stolen for him. And for Ben.
When did you find out the bonds were gone?
Wednesday night.
I thought that's what you said. Why have you waited 3 days to do anything? This will make a fine story.
Couldn't it?
A fine story to hold over their heads. How could they be such fools?
But I'm not going to hold it over their heads.
What?
I'm going to let them keep the bonds as a loan from you. An $88,000 loan. They should be grateful to you. They will be, I think.
I see. You are punishing me. But I won't let you punish me. If you won't do anything, I will. Now.
You won't do anything because you can't. It won't do any good to make trouble because I shall simply say that I lent them the bonds.
You would do that?
Yes. For once in your life, I am tying your hands. There is nothing for you to do.
I see. You're gonna lend them the bonds and let them keep all the profit they make on them, and there's nothing I can do about it. Is that right?
Yes.
Why did you say I was making this gift?
I was coming to that. I'm going to make a new will, Regina, leaving you $88,000 in Union Pacific bonds. The rest will go to Zan. It's true that your brothers have borrowed your share for a little while. After my death, I advised you to talk to Ben and Oscar. They won't admit anything, and Ben, I think, will be smart enough to see that he's safe, because I knew about the theft and said nothing. Nor will I say anything as long as I live. Is that clear to you?
You will not say anything as long as you live.
That's right. And by that time, they will probably have replaced your bonds, and then they'll belong to you, and nobody but us will ever know what happened. They'll be around any minute to see what I'm going to do. I took good care to see that word reach Leo. They'll be mighty relieved to know I'm going to do nothing, and Ben will think it all a capital joke on you. And that will be the end of that. There's nothing you can do to them, nothing you can do to me.
You hate me very much.
No.
Oh, I think you do. Well, we haven't been very good together. Anyway, I don't hate you either. I have only contempt for you. I always have.
From the very first,
I think so.
I was in love with you. But why did you marry me?
I was lonely when I was young.
You were lonely.
Not the way people usually mean. Lonely for all the things I wasn't going to get. Everybody in this house was so busy, and there was so little place for what I wanted. I wanted the world. Then, Papa died. Left the money to Ben and Oscar.
And you married me.
Yes. I thought. But I was wrong. You were a small town clerk then. You haven't changed.
And that wasn't what you wanted.
No, that wasn't what I wanted. It took me a little while to find out I had made a mistake. As for you, I don't know. It was almost as if I couldn't stand the kind of man you were. I used to lie there at night praying you wouldn't come near me.
Really? It was as bad as that?
You remember when I went to Dr. Sloan and I told you he said there was something the matter with me and that you shouldn't touch me anymore?
I remember.
But you believed it. I couldn't understand that. I couldn't understand that anybody could be such a soft fool. That was when I began to despise you.
Why didn't you leave me?
I told you I married you for something. It turned out it was only for this. This wasn't what I wanted, but it was something. I never thought about it much, but if I had known that you would die before I would, but I couldn't have known that you would get heart trouble so early and so bad. I'm lucky, Horace. I've always been lucky. I'll be lucky again.
Please, tell Addie. The other bottle is upstairs.
Horace! Addie, Cal! Come in here! He's had an attack. Come up here.
My God, Mr. Horace!
Be still, Cal. Bring him in here.
Alexandra appears in the hall in her rain cloak and hood. She comes into the room and begins to unfasten her cloak and looks around and sees the empty wheelchair and stares and begins to move swiftly and to look in the dining room. She turns up to Addie.
Addie, what?
I'm going to the doctor. Go upstairs.
The stage is empty for a minute. Then the front doorbell begins to ring. A second later, Leo appears in the hall, talking as he comes in.
Hello? Never saw any use ringing a bell when the door is open. If you're going to ring a bell, then somebody should answer it. Aunt Regina. Addie. What the hell? Cal.
Mr. Leo, Miss Regina says you stopped that screaming noise.
Where is everybody?
Mr. Horace, he got an attack. He's bad. Miss Regina says you stopped that noise.
Uncle Horace, what happened? But when look, you seen Mr. Oscar and Mr. Ben? Answer me, will you?
No, I ain't seen him. I ain't got time to answer you. I got to get things.
But what's the matter with him? When did this happen? You think Papa be someplace where you could find him? I've been chasing him all afternoon.
Oscar and
Papa.
Ben answer quickly.
Papa, I've been looking all over town for you and Uncle Ben.
Where is he?
Daddy just told me it was a sudden attack and
Where is he? When did it happen?
Upstairs. Will you listen to me, please? I've been looking for you.
you think we should go up?
I don't know.
But he is all right.
Will you listen to me?
What's the matter with you?
I've been trying to tell you. I've been trying to find you for an hour.
Well, tell me what?
Uncle Horace knows about the bonds. He knows about them. He's had the box since Wednesday.
Stop shouting. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm telling you, he knows about the bonds. Ain't that clear enough?
You goddamn fool. Stop screaming. Now, what happened? Talk quietly.
You heard me. Uncle Horace knows about the bonds. He's known since Wednesday.
How do you know that?
Because Cal come down to the Mandas and says the box came okay.
And it did not mean a thing.
No, it might not, huh? Then he says Manda should come here tonight and bring Sol Fowler with him. I guess that don't mean a thing either.
Ben? What? Do you think he's seen the...
There's the box. You asked, put it down. What are you going to do with it? Eat it?
I'm going to...
Put it down. Don't touch it again. Now sit down and shut up for a minute.
Wednesday? You said he hadn't seen it Wednesday. Why didn't you say something? I don't understand.
I can put it back. I can put it back before anybody knows.
He's had it since Wednesday, yet he hasn't said a word to us.
Why?
What's the difference? Why? He was getting ready to say plenty. He was going to say it to Fowler tonight.
We still.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe it. What do I care what you believe? I do the dirty work, and then...
I'm remembering that, Leo.
What do you mean?
If you don't shut that little fool up, I'll show you what I mean. For some reason he knows, but he don't say a word.
Maybe he don't know what we.
Leo, he's no fool. Does Manders know the bonds are missing?
How could I tell? I was half crazy. I don't think so, because Manders seemed kind of puzzled. And
But we got to find out.
How is he, Cal?
I don't know, Mr. Ben. He was bad.
But when did it happen?
He wasn't feeling bad early. Then there he is, next thing on the landing, fallen over, his eyes tight.
Dr. Sloan's over at the Ballons. Hitch the buggy up and go get him. Sure now.
Wait, I'm sorry, I've lost the script. Sure. Okay, sorry. Okay, oh God, I'm in all the way in Act 1 again, sorry. I'll be right with you all.
26, Austin.
Yeah, it just, I don't know what it did. Okay, I don't know. Let me see. What's the page number?
226.
226. Oh. Okay. I'm so sorry. I don't believe that. I'm remembering that, Leo. I'm remembering that. If you don't shut that little fool up, I'll show you what I mean. For some reason he knows, but he don't say a word. Leo, he's no fool. Does Manders know the bonds are missing?
how could I tell? I was half crazy. I don't think so, because Manders seemed kind of puzzled. And
how is he, Cal?
I don't know, Mr. Ben. He was bad. He wasn't feeling bad early, but then there he is, next thing on the landing, falling over, his eyes tight.
Dr. Sloan's over at the Ballons. Hitch up the buggy and go get him. Go on now.
Never seen Sloan anywhere when you need him.
Sounds bad.
he would have told her about it. Aunt Regina, he would have told his own wife.
Yes, he might have told her, but they weren't on such pretty terms, and maybe he didn't. Now listen to me. If she doesn't know, it may work out all right. If she does know, you're to say he lent you the bonds.
Lent them to me? Who's going to believe that?
Nobody.
Don't you understand? They do no harm to say it.
Well, why should I say he lent them to me? Why not to you? Why not to Uncle Ben?
Just because he didn't lend them to me. Remember that.
But all he has to do is say he didn't lend them to me.
For some reason, he doesn't seem to be talking. Now, does he? What happened?
They all stand looking at the stairs, and Regina begins to come slowly down.
What happened?
Had a bad attack.
Too bad. I'm sorry we weren't here when Horace needed us.
When you needed us.
Mhm.
How is he? Can we go up?
Not conscious.
It's that bad. What do you think? Sloan can be found quicker just once.
I don't think there is much for him to do.
Oh, don't talk like that. He's come to attacks before. He will now.
Well, we haven't seen each other since the day of our fight.
That was nothing. Why, you and Oscar and I used to fight when we were kids.
Don't you think we should grow up? Is there anything we can do?
You don't feel well. Oh,
No, I don't. Horace told me about the bonds this afternoon.
Bonds? What do you mean? What bonds?
the Union Pacific bonds. Horace's Union Pacific bonds?
Yes.
Well. What about them? What could he say?
He said that Leo had stolen the bonds and given them to you.
That's ridiculous, Regina. Absolutely.
I don't know what you're talking about. Why?
I don't think you'd better go yet. Oh, sorry. My bad. I jumped. Isn't it enough he stole them? Do I have to listen to this in the bargain?
You are talking.
I didn't steal anything. I don't know why.
You ask them to stop that, please.
Aren't we starting at the wrong end, Regina? What did Horace tell you?
He told me that Leo had stolen the bonds.
I didn't steal.
Please let me finish. Then he told me that he was going to pretend that he had lent them to you as a present from me to my brothers. He said there was nothing I could do about it. He said the rest of the money would go to Alexandra. That is all.
I told you he had lent them. I could have told.
So I'm very badly off, you see. Horace said there was nothing I could do about it as long as he was alive to say he had lent you the bonds.
Didn't feel that way. It can all be explained, all be adjusted. Isn't this bad?
So you at least are willing to admit the bonds were stolen?
I admit no such thing. It's possible that Horace made up that part of the story to tease you, or perhaps to punish you.
It's not a pleasant story. I feel bad being naturally. I hadn't thought.
Now you shall have the bonds safely back. That was the understanding, wasn't it, Oscar?
Yes.
I'm glad to know that. I had greater hopes.
Don't talk that way. That's foolish. I think we ought to drive out for Sloan ourselves. If we can't find him, we'll go over to Somerville for Dr. Morris. And don't think I'm dismissing this other business. I'm not. We'll have it all out on a more appropriate day.
I don't think you'd better go yet. I think you had better stay and sit down.
We'll be back with Sloan.
Cal is gone for him. I don't want you to go.
Now, don't worry. And
come back in this room and sit down. I have something more to say.
do I take orders from you?
You don't. Yet. Come back, Oscar. You too, Leo.
My dear Regina.
Horace has already clipped your wings, and very nicely. Do I have to clip them too? You get further with a smile, Regina. I'm a soft man for a woman's smile.
I'm smiling, Ben. I'm smiling because you're quite safe while Horace lives. But I don't think Horace will live. And if he doesn't live, I shall want 75% in exchange for the bonds.
What a greedy girl you are. You want so much of everything.
Yes. And if I don't get what I want, I'm going to put all three of you in jail.
You're mighty crazy.
And on what evidence would you put Oscar and Leo in jail?
Oscar, listen to him. He's getting ready to swear that it was you and Leo. What do you say to that? Oh, don't be angry, Oscar. I'm going to see that he goes in with you.
Try anything you like, Regina. And now we can stop all this and say goodbye to you. It's his money and he's obviously willing to let us borrow it. Learn to make threats when you can carry them through. For how many years have I told you a good-looking woman gets more by being soft and appealing? Mama used to tell you that. Where the hell is Sloan? Take the buggy and
What? Alexandra? Well, what is, what? My God, I didn't know. Who could have known? I didn't know he was that sick. Well, I
seems like yesterday when he first came here.
oh, yes, that's true. The whole town loved him and respected him.
Did you love him, Uncle Oscar?
Certainly, what a strange thing to ask.
Did you love him, Uncle Ben?
Alexandra,
And you, Mama? Did you love him too?
I know what you feel, Alexandra, but please try to control yourself.
I'm trying, Mama. I'm trying very hard.
Grief makes some people laugh and some people cry. It's better to cry, Alexandra.
What was Papa doing on the staircase?
Please go and lie down, my dear. We all need time to get over shocks like this.
No, Mama.
Please go, Alexandra.
No, Mama. I'll wait. I've got to talk to you.
Later. Go rest now.
I'll wait, Mama. I've got plenty of time.
As I was saying, tomorrow morning, I'm going up to Judge Sims. I shall tell him about Leo.
Not in front of the child, Regina.
I didn't ask her to stay. Tomorrow morning, I go to Judge Sims.
What proof of all this?
None. I won't need any. The bonds are missing and they are with Marshall. That will be enough. If it isn't, I'll add what's necessary.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
You can be quite sure.
Well, deny it.
Deny your heads off. You couldn't find a jury that wouldn't weep for a woman whose brothers steal from her. And you couldn't find 12 men in this state you haven't cheated and who hate you for it.
What kind of talk is this? You couldn't do anything like that. We're your own brothers. How can you talk that way? I went upstairs not 5 minutes ago.
Where was I? Well, they'll convict you. But I won't care much if they don't, because by that time you'll be ruined. I shall also tell my story to Mr. Marshall, who likes me, I think. And he will not want to be involved in your scandal. A respectable firm like Marshall and Company, the deal will be off in an hour. And you know it. Now, I don't want to hear any more from any of you. You'll do more bargaining. You'll do no more bargaining in this house. Take my 75% and we'll forget the story forever. That's one way of doing it. and the way I prefer. You know me well enough to know that I don't mind taking the other way.
None of us has ever known you well enough, Regina.
You're getting old, Ben. Your tricks aren't as smart as they used to be. All right. I'll take it that's settled and I get what I asked for.
You're gonna let her do this?
You have a suggestion?
No, he hasn't, all right? Now, Leo, I have forgotten that you ever saw the bonds. And as long as you boys both behave yourselves, I've forgotten that we ever even talked about them. You can draw up the necessary papers tomorrow. You're a good loser, Ben. I like that.
Well, I say to myself, what's the good? You and I aren't like Oscar. We're not sour people.
Wait.
Okay, I thought you got lost.
Wait. Have you jumped way ahead?
Yeah. It goes from, you can draw up the necessary papers tomorrow, which is at the bottom.
Wait, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I thought to myself, what's the good? You and I aren't like Oscar. We're not sour people. I think that comes from a good digestion. Then 2, one loses today and wins tomorrow. I say to myself, years of planning and I get what I want, then I don't get it. But I'm not discouraged. The century's turning, the world is open. Open for people like you and me. Ready for us, waiting for us. After all, this is just the beginning. There are hundreds of Hubbards sitting in rooms like this throughout the country. All their names aren't Hubbard, but they are all Hubbards and they will own this country someday. We'll get along.
I think so.
Then 2, I say to myself, things may change. I agree with Alexandra. What is a man in a wheelchair doing on a staircase? I ask myself that.
And what do you answer?
I have no answer, but maybe someday I will. Maybe never, but maybe someday. When I do, I'll let you know.
When you do, write me. I will be in Chicago. Ben, if Papa had only left me his money.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Oh, yes, certainly. You'll be sort of working for me now.
Alexandra, you're turning out to be a right interesting girl. Well, good night, all.
What do you want to talk to me about, Alexandra?
I've changed my mind. I don't want to talk.
You're acting very strange, not like yourself. You've had a bad shock today, I know that. And you love Papa, but you must have expected this to come someday. You knew how sick he was.
I knew. We all knew.
It will be good for you to get away from here. Good for me too. Time heals most wounds, Alexandra. You're young. You shall have the things I wanted. I'll make the world for you the way I wanted it to be for me. Well, don't sit there staring. You've been around Birdie so much, you're getting just like her.
Funny. That's what Aunt Birdie said today.
I lost my place, sorry.
That's all right.
I might have. 233.
238?
30.
3. I can't.
233.
233.
Aunt Birdie said today, be good for you to get away from all this.
Cal is back, Miss Regina. He says Dr. Sloan will be coming in a few minutes.
We leave in a few weeks. A few weeks. That means 2 or 3 Sundays, 2 or 3 Saturdays. Well, I'm very tired. I shall go to bed. I don't want any supper. Put the lights out and lock up. You go to your room, Alexandra. Addie will bring you up something hot. You look very tired. Call me when Dr. Sloan gets here. I don't want to see anybody else. I don't want any condolence calls tonight. The whole town will be over.
Mama, I'm not coming with you. I'm not going to Chicago.
You're very upset, Alexandra.
I mean what I say, with all my heart.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. The morning will make a difference.
It won't make any difference, and there isn't anything to talk about. I am going away from you because I want to, because I know Papa would want me to.
You know your Papa wanted you to go away from me?
Yes?
And if I say no?
Say it, Mama. Say it, and see what happens.
And if I make you stay?
That would be foolish. It wouldn't work in the end.
You're very serious about it, aren't you? Well, you'll change your mind in a few days.
No.
Alexandra, I have come to the end of my rope. Somewhere there has to be what I want to. Life goes too far, too fast. Do what you want. Think what you want. Go where you want. I'd like to keep you with me, but I won't make you stay. Too many people used to make me do too many things. Nope, I won't make you stay.
You couldn't, Mama, because I want to leave here. I've never wanted anything in my life before, because now I understand what Papa was trying to tell me. All in one day. Addie said there were people who ate the earth and the other people who stood around and watched them do it. And just now, Uncle Ben said the same thing. Really, he said the same thing. Well, tell him for me, Mama. I'm not going to stand around and watch you do it. I'll be fighting as hard as he'll be fighting. Someplace else.
Well, you have spirit. After all, I used to think you were all sugar water. We don't have to be bad friends. I don't want us to be bad friends, Alexandra. Would you like to come and talk to me, Alexandra? Would you? Would you like to sleep in my room tonight?
Are you afraid, Mama?
Nina does not answer. She moves up the stairs and out of sight. Addie, smiling, begins to turn out the lamps. The curtain falls.
Yay! All right, yay! Very good. Very good. Excellent.
You were all so wonderful. Oh,
Oh,
Great.
everyone was great.
That was
Devastating.
so much fun.
I know.
Devastating. Devastating.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want to apologize for missing my grits line